Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey guys, it's your boy Ceejayel back at it again with a brand new video today. 2025's biggest sporting moments of this year. We will go into each sport, but before we do that, I like to say, bring on 2026. Press that subscribe button, press the notification button. I'll keep you updated with new content and make sure to put a thumbs up on the video. And yeah, that's about it with that. So to start off with, the first sport we will talk about is the NBA basketball. The biggest moment of the NBA this year was the Luka trade. I mean, the Luka Doncic trade in February 2nd this year, really early this year, sort of a mid-season trade. He went to the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James. And that was crazy enough. Not only that, but training for Anthony Davis. I mean, the previous season, Dallas just went to the NBA Finals and they thought about trading away their superstar. It was insane what Dallas did, but in particular, Nico Harrison did. But yeah, that was the biggest moment. I mean, LA went on to go to a playoff run. They played pretty well, but they just got stormed out by Minnesota. But that whole saga with Luka going to LA, I mean, was massive. It was massive on TV. It was massive on social media. It was just buzzing everywhere. And I mean, it was really big. I mean, I'd like to have an honorable mention. I think Shai's finals run and MVP season was massive. I thought that obviously Indiana Pacers finals run was massive. Obviously they bowed out to Oklahoma in Game 7 with Tyrese unfortunately getting injured in the first quarter. But also this year, the trade deadline with KD going to Rockets was pretty big. So those are my honorable mentions. But the biggest moment of this year was Luka Doncic going to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis. Second sport we're going to go into is the NFL, so sort of gridiron. The biggest moment of that year was the Super Bowl. I mean, you can talk about the performance that Philadelphia put on. You can talk about the Super Bowl halftime performance with Kendrick Lamar. You can talk about Donald Trump's and Taylor Swift's attendance to the game. I mean, it was just massive all the way around. I mean, Eagles went to a 24-0 halftime lead against Kansas, who had just won back-to-back. They were looking strong in that not finals run, sort of playoffs run, whatever you call it. They were looking really strong, and they stormed home pretty late during the season. And just to bow out like that at halftime 24-0 was just insane. But they did come back later. The score ended up being, I believe, 40-22, if that's correct, for Philadelphia. But it was too late, and Philadelphia had won the Super Bowl. I mean, another honorable mention this year, I would say, was obviously Josh Allen winning the MVP this year. He had a great year. Lamar Jackson had a great year. He missed out, so did Saquon. They missed out, but Josh Allen was deservingly the MVP that year. Obviously, you have another big mention was Shedeur Sanders' draft saga in this year's draft. I mean, getting picked so late, he was one of the first, was supposed to be expected first draft picks of the first round, and he didn't go in the first round. He went really late to the Cleveland Browns, so that was a big deal that went around on social media and just in general. And yeah, those were big moments, but I think the ultimate takeaway was the Super Bowl this year was the biggest moment of the NFL. The MLB. So the MLB will be the third sport we'll talk about. I mean, the biggest moment of the MLB season was Dodgers winning back-to-back. The LA Dodgers winning back-to-back this season. Ohtani doing it once again. I believe he's the GOAT, showing how great he is. I mean, we can look at Miguel Rojas's ninth inning home run that he had to tie the game, and just how well he played in that game. But just LA winning back-to-back, I mean, Dodgers were just feeling themselves. I think that was the biggest moment of that year in particular. 4-3 against the Toronto Blue Jays, who played really well, but LA, Dodgers winning the World Series this year was the biggest moment of the MLB and in the baseball world. The fourth sport we're going to talk about is football. So we'll talk about soccer. I don't like to call it soccer. I like to call it football. Was PSG winning the Champions League? I mean, big deal. Their first ever Champions League. They played really well in the League One in France. I mean, they played well in the Champions League. But in the final, most impressively, they smashed Inter Milan off the pitch, 5-0. insane. I thought Inter Milan would play better. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I was watching the highlights. But yeah, Inter Milan just couldn't get into the game. PSG played really well. And I mean, that year you could look at so many great things that went well for them. I mean, their player Ousmane Dembele won the Ballon d'Or. Big moment that year for football in general and for him and his career, and just playing so well with PSG that year. So that was my biggest moment, but an honourable mention will go out to the Tottenham Hotspurs, winning their first European trophy since 1984 and their first major trophy since 2008, beating Man United in the Europa League final in Bilbao, Spain. Big deal with that. Obviously, Tottenham have always been laughed at, been mocked, been called chokers, been called losers, and they got their first major trophy. So good on Tottenham for that. Obviously, their coach, Ange Postecoglou, is an Australian, so really happy for Australia there, obviously, for him to go and do that. I mean, Tottenham played horribly in the Premier League season, but to then go on and win the Europa League was a good feeling for football that year here in Australia, because Ange represents us, but also in Tottenham. But unfortunately, he got sacked, which was a bad way to end the season. But Tottenham was an honourable mention, I thought. But I think PSG was really the biggest moment of football this year. Other sport, we're going to talk about cricket. Biggest moment of cricket was, I think, South Africa beating Australia in the World Test Championship final at Lords. I mean, Australia, red hot, playing great cricket, very hard to beat, and South Africa had a pretty big run chase, 282 runs to win that match, to win that Test final. And I mean, Aiden Markram, that's his name. He scored an important century for them to win that Test final. I mean, crazy. I think it's since 27 years, since 1998, South Africa haven't won a World Test Championship. So pretty big deal, beating Australia, who are a very good side. Unfortunately, I'm Australian, so I was sad about that. But it was the biggest moment. I mean, some people will say, I'll give an honourable mention, India winning the Champions Trophy, beating out New Zealand was a big moment. Obviously, ended this year with the Ashes, the first test ending in 2 days in Perth, the fourth test just recently ending 2 days at the MCG. Pretty big moments for them, pretty big moments all the way around. But they're honourable mentions in general, but I think that South Africa winning the Test Championship final was the biggest moment of cricket this year. Now we're going to go on to boxing. I think the biggest moment of boxing this year was Terence Crawford winning, I think his fourth unified division championship. I'm not too sure about that, but I know he won the fight. I watched that fight against Canelo, and man, it was crazy. He said he was going to do it. He said he was going to beat him. I don't think anyone really gave him a shot. They thought Canelo was too big. I thought Canelo would be too big, but I was happy Terence Crawford won. I was going for Terence Crawford in the fight. I like Canelo, but I do like Terence Crawford more, so I was happy that he won. And he just showed what a great he is and what a legend he is, certified. I think he's just announced his retirement, and what a career he's had. I mean, he's had some really great wins. Unfortunately, we didn't see the best opponents. You know, he could have faced so many greater opponents, but, you know, old age, a lot of people ducked him, a lot of people didn't want to fight him, so, yeah, it's a shame, but it was the biggest moment of boxing this year, him beating Canelo Alvarez. I mean, yeah, insane. For the UFC this year, I think the biggest honourable mention, the biggest moment of the UFC this year was IIia Topuria winning his lightweight championship, going 2 weight divisions. I mean, that was insane. You could say Merab's 3 title defenses in the bantamweight division. You could say Islam Makhachev's 2 division weight class, you know, run, obviously capturing the welterweight championship. You could say that, but for me, IIia knocking out Charles Oliveira. I don't know why I say Oliveira's. Charles Oliveira. I mean, insane. I watched that fight too. First round KO. You just couldn't believe it. He's just on this run that's crazy. I mean, we're not going to see him out for a while, which is sad. Obviously, personal things going on in his life. But, I mean, yeah, I think that was insane. It went viral. The KO went viral. I mean, he's growing into a superstar. I mean, he is a superstar, but he's growing even further than that. So yeah, I think that's the biggest moment of the UFC this year. Now I'm going to go into national sports. Obviously, AFL this year, the biggest moment was Izak Rankine's suspension. Obviously, a sad turn of events there. Obviously, what happened in the game, obviously. The game doesn't want to support that type of behaviour, but I think it was the biggest moment. A negative moment, a sad moment, but it was the biggest. And he didn't get to play it. I don't believe he got to play any of the other matches after that. I believe it was the last regular season game. And I mean, Adelaide, I believe, were first on the ladder that year. And they were just looking to go on this big finals run, and losing a big player like that was just crazy. So I think that was the biggest moment. It wasn't a good moment at all. I think it was a very negative moment, a sad moment. But, you know, it was the biggest in terms of, you know, social media engagement, outrage engagement, and just in the whole season, and how Adelaide would eventually, you know, bow out. I think against Hawthorn. I think they lost the first final against Collingwood, and they lost to Hawthorn in 2 home games. They lost. So yeah, I think those were the biggest moments. You could say Lions going back to back, but I think that was the biggest moment of the AFL season. The NRL, I think the biggest moment was Brisbane Broncos Premiership run. I am a Broncos supporter, so you can call me biased, but the Broncos, I mean, late start when it came to playing really good football, went on this run, and I mean, just showed out crazy. All the players in that team played really well, but especially Reece Walsh. I mean, he had such a great end of the year season. I think that was the biggest moment. His grand final performance with also Broncos winning the Premiership was the biggest moment of the NRL season. Sorry for my voice. Yeah, crazy with that. I think that was amazing for us Broncos supporters. We haven't won since 2006. We had lost the 2015 grand final against the Cowboys. We've lost the 2023 grand final against the Panthers. I mean, we were in those games, and it was just heartbreak. So for us to win that against a very good Melbourne Storm outfit, who had been really good this year and consistent, I mean, crazy. I think it's the biggest moment of that year. So yeah, that was the NRL. Now, any honorable mentions with that? I'd probably say Canberra Raiders winning the minor premiership was a big moment. Queensland winning. State of Origin was massive. I think going to Las Vegas this year was a big deal as well, but I think ultimately Broncos had the biggest moment. Anyway, guys, that was the end of the video. All my biggest sporting moments of 2025. Thanks for watching. Remember, hit that subscribe button. Again, I'd like to remind you, because you may have forgotten, but I said at the start of the video, in case you forgot, press that subscribe button, press the like button on the video. I need more engagement, I need more subscribers, and make sure, look after yourself, get ready for the 2026 year, stay healthy, stay positive, and yeah, we're out.